there, Floss Tube. It's January 20th, 2022. And it's been forever since I've talked to you. Busy like everybody, holidays, lots going on. Good times, some challenging times as well. My husband injured himself and had to have surgery right before Thanksgiving. So that's been a little bit crazy. And my mom's been in and out of the hospital, so that's been challenging, and just praying that she makes a turnaround. So 2022 is off to a rip-roaring start at my house, but it's all good. And I know everybody's got challenges in life, and thankfully we have our stitching to kind of give us a little bit of positive joy, or I don't know, just let us escape a little bit. So I hope this finds you all well. I have enjoyed watching so many Floss Tube videos during this interim. And I apologize for taking so long to film, but man, life. I would love to film more frequently, but I don't know. This time of year, I get super in the organizing mode and super busy with plans and kind of reflective, and I'm sure it happens to a lot of us. I try not to make resolutions or set too many goals, but anyway, so if you're new to my channel, thank you for trying this out, and we are going to get into some cross stitch and a tiny bit about quilting. If you've been here before and you have liked and subscribed and commented, thank you so much. Like I always say, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't something that I enjoyed, and it keeps me so motivated and wanting to come back to read your comments and to just get to know you. I've made so many great friends in this last year. It hasn't even been a year yet. I know people say it over and over again, but I just want to say it as well. It is a great community of friendship and support and inspiration and enabling. So it's all good. And so thank you for liking and subscribing. If you're new, I hope you stick around. You are going to get a little bit of history, but maybe not so much this time. My channel's a little different, but yeah, come check it out and see what you think. There are so many great floss tubers out there, so many options. I appreciate you taking the time to check me out. So what have I been up to? Besides being extremely reflective and thinking about, Auld Lang Syne, right? For old time's sake. For, what does it literally mean? Old long since. I wrote that down. It means old long since. So I think about, the past, but I like to be a more forward. Like if I can get depressed thinking about all the past too much. I do, however, think a lot about like my stitching and what story am I telling? And when somebody unearths all this or goes through all of this, what are they going to think about me or say about me or know about me through what I'm leaving? And so I'm not a heavy-duty journaler, but I do write things down for several reasons. For that reason, that I want to clarify, why did I start this project? Why did I abandon this project? Why did I change the colors? What was going on in the world when I was working on this project? Just things like that. Because for me, if I find an antique textile like a quilt or a sampler and there's some kind of a journal attached, oh man, I'm like, you know, super excited. And I don't always find those two connected, but I do read journals from the 1800s, and I'm just so fascinated to get into somebody's head and see how they think. And so, you know, it might be scary for my descendants to see how I'm thinking, but, you know, why not? So I want to show you what I do to kind of keep a little record of my stitching, my quilting, my cross stitch, any other crafts I do, why I'm doing it, and also to organize my thoughts, because if I don't write them down, then they just run around in my head and cause trouble. So I use these, and I have probably 20 of these. They're just very inexpensive spiral notebooks that I use on the side because I'm left-handed, so it's easier for me to write across. And this new one was started in 2021. So I just do like a title page for the year, and I have started decorating with stickers. I've been heavily influenced by the sticker world because of floss tubers everywhere. I usually have a page with my WIPS, and I usually have a page with my new starts that I'm hoping to do that year. I have goals. I have, you know, if I have like some kind of idea for organization, it all goes in here. It gets written down. And then each month I have like how I want to rotate, what I'm going to do in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. I kind of keep a little track of what I did. If I switched to color out, why. If I started something, if I finished something, if there was something interesting going on in the world, you know, things like that. If it's like a special occasion, I'll write that in there. If I have a really exciting meetup, I write that in there. When I was thinking about the pairs, I wrote that in there, cut out some swatches. I try not to spend too much time on it. It's probably more time than a lot of people would want, but I want somebody, you know, and this probably will all get separated from my needlework, but I do want to leave a little bit of my thinking behind, because I can't express that with the needle, right? It's not going to, I don't write my thoughts on my fabric with the needle. So like when I went to the attic, you know, I can just give a little more extensive look at me for my descendants. Now, whether they want to look at that or not, it's up to them. And also, it's for me to be able to look back and reminisce a little bit, but also, like, when did I start that project? And why did I switch to that color red? You know, all those random thoughts. So there's so many ways to keep a journal. There are beautiful journals. There's people who do art journals. There's scrapbook journals. There's so many options. I could go down that rabbit hole easily, believe me. Just a couple of journals from the past. A friend made this cover for this journal for me, and it's just a composition book. And this was my quilt project journal. So this was what I used for years. I also have this one, which is like a little quilt book. That's got other stuff in it. I do keep a journal of, or I keep a composition book. I'm still working on a cover for this for my floss tube. And I write down, you know, what I'm going to say and whatnot. But all the cards and notes that you send me get glued in here. Special comments that I want to bring out and talk about, I print out and put in here. What I talk about is in here, so hopefully I don't repeat myself too much, but I probably will anyway. So just, I don't know. I would encourage you And I'm going to try this year to kind of add a little bit more of my thinking process somewhere on a little piece of paper in my project bag, or maybe a little bit more in my journal, just so that if anyone's ever interested in the future, there it is. I used to, I do a lot of quilting, a lot of applique, and I used to on the back write, you know, the date, what was going on when I finished this block. You know, my older son was a senior in college. You know, just stuff like that. What was going on in the world? Now, this won't be discovered unless the quilt is tattered, shredded, and falling apart, and somebody wants to pick it apart. And then, oh, look at there's this. And this is, I use Pigma pen. I do make sure that it's not on just one layer of fabric. It's behind this vase, you know, so it doesn't show through. There's a whole bunch of ways you can document yourself and your journey. I used to do a page with a picture of the quilt, the fabrics that I used, and a little story about it. Kept a notebook like that. I usually put, this is a quilt I made, and I always try to include a label. You know, information on, like, was this a class? What book did I get this pattern out of? Did I create the pattern myself? Who quilted it? Just pertinent things that I know as somebody who likes to look at the old version of quilts and samplers. Information I would just love to know, because you know how disappointing it is to find a gorgeous sampler or see one and, oh, I wish the little girl had left us more information. I wish we could get into her head. She was probably too young to keep a journal, and nobody probably kept journals. Well, that's not true. People did keep journals in the 1800s, but probably not children. I don't know of many children that kept journals, but I love reading journals from the 1800s. I love getting into the head of people from times past and trying to understand the way they thought and their way of life and why they did things the way they did. So I want to leave that a little bit for the future. Anyway, okay. So now you know a little bit about me. There is a quilt book, and this is probably, I mean, I journaled before this, but this book really sealed why I want to leave information for my descendants. This book is written by Betsy Chutchin, and I was fortunate enough to get to know Betsy when I lived in Texas. And you have to get this book, but she was a quilter, and she, through her research, found her great-grandmother's journals. And her great-grandmother was also a quilter. And she left little snippets in her journals of what she did that day, the patchwork she was working on. And I know how much joy that brought to Betsy to find, and I think somebody somewhere down the line is going to like that in my world. Who knows? Maybe not. Anyway, just a little tidbit. I really enjoyed watching Chris cross-stitch this last, I think it was 2 videos ago, because he's very prolific in his videos, and he was showing a handwritten page, actually several pages of stories that someone in his past had written out, and he was the recipient of. And their handwriting, their words. I mean, he's just, this piece of paper. These papers are just so precious to him because that is what's left of that person, and we don't necessarily have our handwriting on our stitchery. We have our stitches, but you know, wouldn't it mean so much to have a little piece of our handwriting with some information? So I don't know, just a thought. Maybe, you know, I know Lori Holt has those great ways of labeling your stitchery on the outside of the frame. And there's a whole bunch of options available for that. I just think it's fun to have even more, or just a tiny bit more, maybe tucked inside the frame. I don't know. Just a thought, just an idea. So kind of something I'm going to think about this year, and ways of connecting to the future. I have had so much fun this year diving into cross stitch again and floss tube and connecting with so many of you. I have thoroughly enjoyed all the WIP parades that have been going on. And I'm still kind of getting my footing, like how do I work this into my already very active quilting life? So I think now after all these months, I kind of have a plan, and we'll see if I can stick with it. My plan for this next year is to work on a focus piece, and then each month, and then a secondary piece that will get attention for that month, and possibly 2 months, I don't know. I am not a single-minded stitcher. I wish I was. I wish I could start one project and finish it to the end. That just doesn't seem to work for me. You know, we're all different. I tell people I'm a spiral stitcher. I start the project and I work on it, and then I go around, and then I get back to it and work on it for however long, and then I go around and I'm working on other things. And each time I work on it, I'm getting closer and closer to the finish. But it might take me, you know, several rotations around to get it done. That's just how I've always operated. I don't know. But we'll see how much I can stick to plans. I try not to be too rigid with myself, and all this might get thrown out the window next month. Who knows? But I want to show you my WIPs and show you what I have on my radar for this next year. And so if you followed me on Instagram, you know that I've started a couple things this month, which is kind of crazy, but hey, it's okay. My main focus piece for this year, and probably for the next 2 years, is going to be Dutch Beauty. Now, many of you have already finished this, and I have been so inspired by your gorgeous finishes. Many of you have really healthy starts on this, and that's also very inspiring. And there are a pretty significant number of people that I'm seeing pop up who are just starting it. So I don't know. There is a hashtag for Dutch Beauty Sampler. I don't know if there's a special one for this new kind of upstart or new interest in it. I don't know. Maybe it's always been of interest and it's never gone away. Anyway, so I started Dutch Beauty, like I said, and I am using the called for DMC. I am using Katie Strachan's gorgeous floss drops. So fun. And I think Carol Saltbox Stitcher maybe was the one. I'm pretty sure it was Carol. Talked about having a tag because things get separated, and the tag also helps me. Okay, so I put the name of the chart on the tag because it doesn't get lost. Then I can also put the hashtag for the Sal and who's hosting it and when I started it and whatever else I need to on here. I am probably going to put another little slip of paper in there to talk about, like, that motif was weird, or he was goofy, or not. Maybe I'll just keep that in my stitching journal. I don't know. Anyway, so let me show you my start. And we've got kind of weird lighting right now. We had snow this winter. I'm sure a lot of you already still have snow, but for us in Seattle, that's pretty unusual. So here's my start. I'm going to try to do a page a month. We'll see. That's my goal. I'm really enjoying this. I don't know why. I just really don't want to put it down. It's very interesting. Each motif, they're also different. Even though there's not a whole lot of color changes, I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I'm doing it on 36 count Mayflower by Fox and Rabbit. I would have started this months ago, except that that fabric was out on a barge, and the whole trouble that Fox and Rabbit had, this fabric was part of it. So it finally came into the attic and I got it, and really as soon as it got to my house, I had the floss ready. I just had to put some stitches in it. I couldn't stand it. So really, really fun. If you are at all interested in joining, please do. Of course, I am famous for messing around with color, or at least second guessing. This pink is probably not my favorite shade of pink. There's not a ton of it in the sampler. The original, it almost looks a little more like a burnt red. I don't know if I want to go that dark, but I'm going to look for a little more of a salmony burnt pink, if that makes sense. And just throw that out and see how that looks. Why do I reinvent the wheel? I don't know, and I shouldn't. Sometimes I get myself into trouble, but I can't help it. I love color. I love playing with color. So, okay. Next, oops, sorry, Havishon crashed. Next WIP is something that I'm doing in honor of my father. He is of Scottish descent, and so I'm doing the Old Scot, because that just stance and attitude, that's just, it's not my father, but just reminds me of him. Jane Says 8 on Instagram is also doing this, and she has some of her own colors. Oh, it's just gorgeous. You really need to follow her, and she has a hashtag, the Old Scot. I am stitching this using MPI Silks, oh, excuse me, Avera Soie, and yeah, the Avera Soie Silks on 36 count platinum, and this is what I have so far. And so I'm actually really looking forward to, I've got quite a bit of the border done. Well, just the outline. The colors, the colors just make me so happy. So what I really should do, if I'm smart, is keep going on that border and get that all lined up. I wanted to get to the little man so badly, and I haven't yet, which I can't believe, but all right, so that is going to be, that one will get a lot of love 1 month, and I can't remember what, I have each of these assigned a month. Yeah, I think if I work on Dutch Beauty, if I really give Dutch Beauty 2 weeks, I can get a page done, I hope. And then I'll have 2 weeks to work on one of these other focus pieces. And then if I get those assignments done, I can start something else, or I can work on another small. Now, who knows? I don't know. I mean, we'll see if I can stick with it, but I would like to. All right, this next one I started last year, and I should be farther because I just love this. Anne got 1848. This was a stitch along at the attic, and there's a hashtag for it. I'm using the called for colors on, let's see, 36 count straw by WIPS. And this is what I have so far. It's a little bit faded out in the window, but anyway. I love the cow. I love the cow, and I cannot wait to get up to that flower and the house. So had I not had so many starts and just trying to figure out how I'm going to work this into my life, I would have had a lot more progress on that. But it's there. It'll get there. The spiral will come around. And there are a lot of people who have finished this. There are a lot of people who are starting it, and if you are at all interested, I would just highly recommend starting it. Just call the attic and have them kit it up for you. I love it. All right, next one is Anne Robinson. Now this is probably one of my oldest charts. I've had this chart forever. It's by the Traveling Stitcher, 1800. So that's like, you know, it still has the look of the 1700s. You know, it's just moving into the 1800s, and anyway. All right, I'm doing Gloria Silk for that stitch, and it is on a very dark piece of linen. I love the look of it. It's a tiny bit, like, it's not black, it's 32 count Whitechelt copper penny. It is a very loose linen. It's probably not my favorite to stitch on because it's so loose, but also I like the look. I mean, I have a lot of antique samplers, and they're very rustic. The linen is coarse, it's loosely woven, it's not fine. The stitches, you know, it's just, I don't know. So I kind of like it all. I like the tight stitches on higher counts, but I also enjoy kind of a more primitive look as well. So that one will get some attention this year. I'm planning to leave these out by my stitchy chair, so I'm going to have the Dutch Beauty and then whatever my focus piece is for that month by my stitching chair. So there's like no question in my mind, or no squirrels to distract me. We'll see how this works. It might not work very well at all. Because, okay, so Rianne, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, Rianne. We've connected on Instagram. It's been so fun. She showed on her floss tube the 7 sheep sampler, and that she wanted to start it. Well, amazingly, I already had it kitted up. I wasn't planning to start it, but when she showed it, I thought, well, why not? I'm so motivated when there's somebody else stitching it. You know, I'm thrilled to do what, you know, to keep each other going, to spur each other on. So, hey, let's do it. So I kind of did my own floss conversion for this, and it's by the Scarlet House. Rianne is the Stitching You on Instagram and FlossTube, I believe. And so this is the one that I kind of picked that's different. I just kind of like that salmony peachy pink, especially on the dark linen. But because I had this piece of linen, and this linen is 35 count Cocoa Weeks. Now, it's also really loosely woven. You know, I probably like, you know, but I'm okay. So I got the grass counted out. And just start on the border. I got dangerously close to the edge. You know, I didn't calculate it well, or maybe I just got too anxious to start. I had this piece and I thought, oh, this will work, and I just dove in. I think I'll be able, it'll be able to be framed with 1.5 inches. If not, then I'll just have to be creative. I don't know. Anyway, I'm really happy with the linen. I'm really happy with the floss. I'm really happy to have a new friend to stitch along with, and anybody who's interested in joining, please do. I think she has a hashtag called SLSS stitch along. And I will put all these hashtags on the bottom down in the notes. I had to make a page in my journal because this is what's, you know, the noise in my head of all the hashtags that I'm involved in. Yeah, it took up a whole page, because I don't even know, I mean, and I've started a bunch of stitch-alongs that I've been involved in stitch-alongs that have started that I haven't even really stitched on. So I kind of getting my footing. I got my footing. Now we'll move on. We'll move ahead. Okay, this one is so fun. This one is Elizabeth Isles, and so many people have started her for Laura's big birthday Sal. She's a really unique. I mean, that is some kind of a border. I mean, that's very creative little person. So this one, the one that I showed you before, the by the Traveling Stitcher, is 1800. This is 1799. So that same time period. Different places in the world, but interesting. You know, I'd love to compare those and just find out a little bit about that. Now, I was enamored by the antique, and Penelope Tucker, Penny, is the one who's hosting this Sal for Laura's big birthday, and she had her big birthday on January 1st, but you are welcome to join, I know. I loved the colors on this. I just loved them. And Jane Says 8, Sarah at Jane Says 8, did a color conversion to the antique, and I just love what she did. And so I decided I couldn't get all the flosses that she used, but I wanted to make mine look as much like as the antique as possible. I'm stitching it on 36 count flax. I'm using Sarah and my own, and just influences from Jody Trixie Tricycle, everybody that I'm watching that's doing this, I'm kind of being influenced by you. So I pulled my own silks, and I did hang them on flash drops, which I am regretting. I'm going to put these in bags, but I'm using the gorgeous flash drops from Michelle at the Striped Rose and Barbara at Raspberry Stitches. So thank you so much. That floss drop exchange was so fun, and what a blast to go into my drawer and kit something up and pull these gorgeous floss drops out. So let me show you what I have so far. Of course, I started it going the wrong way, so I was going to run out of room, so that gets chopped off. But anyway, this is what I have so far. And I got the border done, and it met up, and one little angel, and just the beginning, the beginnings down here of, you know, the 3 rows of the border, and that really makes it stand out. I think the antique just had the 1, but I'm going to go with the 3. It just gives it such a better frame. What an interesting border that was. What an interesting border. And those angels, crazy little cherubby looking, funny looking cherubies. Anyway, so very, very fun. And of course, to complete the fun, right, I was so fortunate to get one of Barry at Stitch Folks project bags. They're just gorgeous. Inside, look at this. She's got this whole little conversation going on, talking about Laura's big birthday Sal. She had a thread book in here. I mean, just so cool. A floss tag. Just, I feel very, very fortunate to have this. So anyway, just lots of fun. And I know anyone can start anytime. And did I say that's being hosted by Penelope Tucker? I think I did. Anyway, I don't know what I said. Okay. Next, we have, this one's going to be fun because, you know, mostly I do samplers. I reproduce antique quilts. I reproduce antique samplers. This one is just purely, it's just fun. The Embroiderous Sampler. And Kathy Barrick, she's beautiful, beautiful charts. But I'm stitching this with my friend Louise. If any of you want to join, of course, you're welcome. I'm using the absolutely gorgeous floss drops from Lisa Kurtz Stitch Witch. And she had several images for her floss drops. And that has just been so fun to kit this up using all these gorgeous floss drops. So I'm using the NPI silk that's called for. I'm stitching it on this cool linen. It's so fun. Duxbury by Fox and Rabbit. I'm doing 36 count. I mean, oops, look at that. Is that cool? I mean, those letters are very cool, but look at that linen. It's really fun to stitch on. It looks like something that came out of the attic, maybe went through a little bit of water damage. I don't know. I got this at Acorn and Threads. I can't wait to keep working on that. That will be a focus along with Dutch Beauty 1 month this year. And if I really love something, if I'm really on a roll, if I'm really close to a finish, you know, my rules are all very, very flexible. There's no real rules in my life. I try not to put too many restrictions on myself for stitching because it is supposed to be for fun. Got projects falling off the table. All right, next one is, let's see, Laura, I think, and Kyle, I saw on Instagram yesterday, are doing this as like, get out of the slump, let's do a new project. Well, I started this with Christy Crosshatch Quilts in December, and right when I started stitching, it started snowing up here. That was so cool. I'm using the floss drops from Sue Ream at Sampler Gal. Look at that. That's her grandmother. And she tells you a little bit of the story of her grandmother. I mean, isn't that neat? She is somebody, Sue Ream is somebody who would appreciate my journals in the future. So hashtag Mary Snow Sal. And this fabric was gifted to me by a very dear new friend, Penny. And this is what I have so far. And I mean, I could not put that rose bush tree, I couldn't put it down. I was having so much fun stitching that. I really should get a little more focused on the border and get that done. But this will get a lot of love. And I think this one's going to jump in this month as part of the Get Out of the Slump and continue with the Mary Snow Sal, just because, you know, it's just fun when other people are stitching something and motivating. So, like I said, squirrels will pop up and I will probably follow them. So, all right. Oh, another gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous sampler. Feliz Navidad. I want to give that some love this year, pardon me. And there is a hashtag 25th Day Sal, and I believe it was started by Lori Holt, but I could be wrong. I'm sorry whoever started if it wasn't Lori. Even though I'm switching it back to look like the original, and I'm going to put the original girl's name on it and not write Feliz Navidad. I want to stitch it on the 25th day, if I can remember to do that. Otherwise, it will be my stitch whenever I planned for it. It's being stitched on 36 count lamb's wool. I'm using the called for overdyed, and there is a hashtag for this, Feliz Navidad Sal. And this chart was gifted to me by my friend Ruth. Thank you, Ruth. I don't have as much done on it as I wish I did, but it's fun. And this linen is very stiff. I mean, so different to stitch on this than those really loosely woven weeks. But it's okay. I'm okay with that. I don't mind. Anyway, really looking forward to getting back to that because the colors are just so yummy. Just so yummy. Just gorgeous. All right. Okay, next I started this one for my birthday in September. And it's Charlotte Clayton. I think I saw Christy Crosshatch Quilts and Carol Saltbuck Stitcher. I saw their finishes. I found out this was in Port Townsend, Washington, which is very close to where I live. And I loved it. And I thought, okay, I've got it. I have to stitch that. I love to stitch things from places that I've lived. And I have moved, you know, a number of times. And so I've tried to make a quilt that was based in that location, and of course now a sampler. So this is being stitched using the gorgeous floss drops from Noelle Weston. 1269, isn't she pretty? And she's being stitched with Belle Soie, and I got all of that. I got this kitted up at the attic. And they mailed it to me, and I believe I had a stitchy friend send me this linen, so yeah, this is a pretty neat, gifty project. So people probably wonder, like, okay, so I got that kitty's tuffet and the outline, and you know, I don't know how much time I spent on this, but this will definitely get, you know, a month of attention. If I stuck with one thing, I might actually have a sampler done by now, but I just can't do that. It feels too much like work to me. And I don't know. Brenda says stitch what you love, so I guess you have to stitch what you love when you love it. So, but I do want to get back to that. So these ones I'm showing you are the ones that I really want to have a month this year to focus on, and we'll see how far I get, and then we'll make decisions from there. The next one, I just could not stand it when I saw this, and I wanted to start it, and I didn't really do much on it, which is sad. A Dutch Sampler by Kathy Barrick. I do love a Dutch sampler. I love dark linen. I think this is Havana by Weeks Dye Works. It's 40 count. I'm using MPI silks that are called for. Oops. I can't really see them when they're in there. I'm sorry. And I really have a pathetic little start. I mean, it's super pathetic. I think I wasn't sure how I would like 40 count or this linen. This is a very, it's not loosely woven, but it's soft. So the Feliz Navidad linen, it's very stiff. It's got a whole different feel, a whole different tension to pulling your threads. So you kind of have to, you know, you got to play with it and be comfortable. And I really like stitching in hand. I still stitch in hand, which I know is not everybody's favorite, but you do have to get your own rhythm with stitching in hand and get comfortable with the tension on the different weaves of linen. Anyway, that one I just love. I really do want to get back to that. I will give that another month of love and just see how far I get. Okay, we're getting there. I haven't even been counting these. Next one is, oh yeah, this one I need to, so like I said, I kind of was diving in this year and probably dove over the edge a little bit and got a million things started, but now I kind of have, I feel like I have a little bit of a rhythm. This one is being stitched on Riverstone from To Die For Fabrics. This is the Jessie Watson Sal, hosted by Barbara Raspberry Stitcher. I'm using the Vicki Clayton Silk conversion. I love the Vicki Clayton Silks. Really, really love them. I've noticed recently she has a lot more kits available. Anyway, I think she has one available for Dutch Beauty. I don't have much done on this at all, and it's really a shame. I got nervous about the ghosty letters, but I'm totally fine with it now. I love it on this linen. It's different, but I'm happy. I wasn't sure. It's a very different look than the beautiful Russian tea cake or something really white. But this one is the Autism Sal that Barbara is running, and of course I'm sure you can join in. Now that will probably be finishing up in April, and a lot of people will be done. I obviously will not. So I will keep working on that, and this might be the thing that gets attention along with Dutch Beauty in April. And then last one, I think I did show recently, but I will show it to you again, is Anne Grimshaw, which I started for the black thread Sal. I got this linen in Arizona when I went to the attic. Jean helped pick it out, and I just have a tiny bit done. This is 37 count legacy Russian tea cake. So those are my WIPs and my goals for 2022. I hope I can bite a little bit more off of each of these projects, and I also have another goal, and I want to learn some different hem stitch techniques. I know a traditional hem stitch, but I know there's different hem stitches that involve pulling different threads together. I really want to work on that. I am working on making some project bags. Never say never. I said I don't want to make project bags. I'm not going to. Oh, I've got like 15 cut out. I'm going to stitch. I'm going to meet up with Jody, and she's going to show me how she does hers. I'm going to meet up with another friend. I mean, yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in. So last of all, last thing, I want to do the giveaways, because last month I had reached 3,000 subscribers, and I had a giveaway. I had 3 really pretty giveaways. So the first one was for Sampler Roll, and the winner of that is Nancy Suma. So Nancy and all of you who are winners, please contact me through Instagram or comment on this video or email me, and I will get your address and mail these out to you. These are all beautiful. The next one is Sarah Comfort. This is something I really want to start too, but I'm not going to start it. And this is for, the winner is Kathy Kerr. So Kathy, get in touch with me and let me know how I can get this off to you. Congratulations. And then, of course, I really want to start this one too. And the reason I have these as giveaways is because I bought 2 because I loved them so much. This is, actually, this was gifted to me and I bought it. So, Sampler Maker. And the winner is Rebecca Moore. Rebecca Moore. So, get in touch with me, and I want to get these in the mail to you. Thank you so much for watching, for hanging in there. This didn't go quite as long as I thought it would, but you know, it's good. It's long enough. Next month, February, is my flossiversary. It'll be a year since I started doing these floss tubes, mostly to keep my sanity. So it's been worth every minute, and I have enjoyed, I can't tell you how many people I've met and how many wonderful connections. So thank you. I will be back if I can, maybe in a couple weeks, but probably more like a month. We'll just see what life holds. So until then, make time for stitching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.